Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. In my first ever YouTube video,
And this is my first ever YouTube video.
I shared my mobile headshot lighting setup. So when I go on location to photograph, say, a team of people at a company, what would I bring when I go on location and shoot them? Someone left a comment on that video asking me to actually demonstrate how I use these lights, which is a really great question. I thought I would take it a step farther and show you how I would set up my headshots if I had just one light source, and then two, and then three, and then finally my personal 4-light headshot setup. Stay tuned. I'm joined today by actress Leah Young. She's helping me out with this demonstration. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Leah. Appreciate it. So today is all about headshots, and our goal with headshots for me is to achieve soft, flattering light that is a clear representation of the subject. The first thing we're going to start with is one light and a white wall. So what would we do if we have just one light and a white wall? I'm going to show you. Leah, take the camera.
Okay.
We're gonna start with just one light source. I have the Flashpoint Evolve 200 paired with the Photex Soft Lighter. What I'm trying to do is achieve broad, flattering light that kind of fills out the whole scene because I only have one light source to work with. So what I would do is I would place Leah probably just about 3 feet from the background, from the white wall, and take my light source and pull it back a little bit behind where I'm at. And I'm shooting with an 85mm lens for a professional headshot frame. What I'm doing effectively here is using the light source to fill out the whole scene. This is a little bit of a push and pull because if I pull the light source too far back, it's really gonna start to flatten the lighting on my subject's face in the interest of trying to get a brighter background. So if it's too close, the background's gonna be really dark and the lighting's gonna be a little bit too dramatic. If I pull it back too far, the whole scene will fill out nicely, but the lighting on my subject will start to become a little bit flat. So this is a pretty nice shot, I like it. We have the subject far away enough from the background that you're not seeing the shadow cast by the light onto the wall behind her. Also, the light on her face is a little bit harsh. We filled out the frame nicely, but it could be a little bit softer. So one thing I would do is take a V-flat and put it to the side of her that is opposite of the light. So I have this V-flat placed to the right of Leah's face, so it's coming in on the opposite side of the light source. So what this is going to do basically is kick the light from here off of this white wall and fill in the light on her face a little bit more nicely. If I had 2 lights to work with, I would add a second one of these Photex soft lighters because they're nice and cheap and they give big soft light, which is what I like. I have both lights about equidistant to my subject, which helps give me the same quality of light coming from both lights. I have this light at 1/8 power. I'm gonna put this on 1/32 power, so it's, I don't know, I'm a photographer, not a mathematician, you know? It's like 1/3 of the power. It's a little less than half. So if I had a 3rd light source, I would want to use that to get control of my background exposure. So I have a little low-rise light stand. This guy's really cheap. This is from Pro Master. I think they're like maybe 60 or 80 bucks a pop. So this guy can stay pretty low to the ground, which is really nice. Okay, I'm back. I have my 3rd Flashpoint Evolve 200. I'm gonna put the 7-inch reflector dish on it, and what that does is gives me a nice kind of, a little bit more of an orb of light. Is that what it does? I honestly don't even know. It kind of, it amplifies the light. It looks good on backgrounds. 7-inch reflector. For our 3-light setup, I'm gonna take these and put them a little bit more to the side of Leah's face. And I'm gonna take this background light. It's about kind of the middle upper part of her back, pointing at my background, and this will help give me a pure white. A very important thing to remember here is if you overexpose your background, it's gonna wash out the contrast in your subject and your image is gonna be rendered flat. So make sure that you don't overexpose. You wanna get just under a pure white so it's not quite blown out, and then if you wanna make it pure white in Photoshop, you can do so. I had mentioned that I want to take these lights and put them a little bit more to her side, so this is going to get light coming in. It's going to be a little bit more shaped and a little more dynamic this way. One thing I want to make sure to do is not have the center of the light hitting her face, but make sure that the lights are in front of my subject so that you're not standing beyond the point where the two lights converge. If you do that, you're going to get weird shadows like deep in the eye sockets here. I like that. So I'm doing this demonstration, and honestly, to my naked eye, just glancing at these images, I don't see a huge difference in the quality of light changing. And the point of this is just to reiterate the fact that you don't need a lot of gear to get really nice lighting. You can have one light source and a V flat, and you can get a lot of mileage out of that. If I had a white wall, but I wanted to have a gray backdrop, something I could do is remove the background light over here, and I would pull my subject farther away from the wall and bring the light sources out away from the wall as well, so very little light is actually reaching the background. I've taken a lot of time showing you how to work with very minimal gear, but finally to get to the actual point of how do I set up my lights for headshots on location, we're gonna finally get started with that right now. You ready?
Ready.
This is how I would set up my lighting on location or here in the studio for headshots. The lighting on my subject is inspired by headshot photographer Peter Hurley, who has spent the past probably 2 decades in New York City making headshot photography what it is today. This is the view from the subject. So as you can see, there's the main light coming in relatively directly to my subject. This is a little bit feathered across this way, and this one's coming right up at my subject's face from under their chin. This really wraps the light around their face and gives me individual control of how much light is coming in from each direction. My second and third light are running at about 1/4 to 1/3 of the power of the key light. One of the most important pieces of advice that I can give regarding this lighting setup, or pretty much any lighting setup for that matter, is to nail down the distance of your subject to the lights. So if your subject is too close to the light source, their face will be past the point at which the 3 lights converge, and you're going to start to get strange shadows and highlights in weird places on the face that you're not looking for. Transversely, if your subject is too far away from the lights, the lighting will start to look very flat very quickly. Most of my headshots are captured on a gray backdrop. I have this kind of medium gray here. If I hit it with a light at a very low power from a pretty good distance, it's going to illuminate it just a little bit so that I have a soft vignette around the image. I like dark gray backdrops because I think it looks contemporary, it really makes the subject pop out nicely, and I think it's appropriate for a lot of professional contexts. I really like the way this shot looks. Now, I have Leah here, who is a woman, and this is how I would set up lighting for women. Leah is clearly a woman.
Trying to let that one go.
I have the lighting set up for women, so that lower light is further softening the light on my subject's face. Now, if I'm photographing a man, I want slightly harder, edgier light, and we're gonna man light. So I want to get slightly deeper shadows and harder lines. What I would do if I was photographing a man is to take the lower light that's coming up from under the subject's chin and use it as a kicker light. So I'm gonna show you how I would set that up. Oftentimes for men, you can just use the key light as your main light source and then use a kicker light to have your subject pop off the background a little bit. So what I'm gonna do to demonstrate the use of the kicker light, creating that soft highlight on the jaw is, Leah, if you could actually pull your hair up, and then we can see this highlight coming in on her jaw, and just kind of demonstrate how I would photograph if I was photographing a man. All right, so that looks a little bit dark to me. Come forward, like, 3 floorboards. So it's like maybe, what, 6 inches at the most? And let's see what this looks like. We have nice lighting on the subject. There's a little bit of a kick coming from behind her. It's just outside of the camera's frame, and it creates a little highlight on the cheek, which helps your subject pop out from the background. The single light source that we're using, kind of casting diagonally across her face, is casting fairly deep shadows on the far side of her nose and her eye socket and her cheek. I actually think this looks quite nice on her. And it's something that I would use. Like I said, rules are made to be broken, so learn the basics, find the parameters, and then kind of push outside of them. All right. So that is everything for today. Leah, thank you so much for helping me out.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. She's an actress, so I have my work cut out for me when she comes rolling in through my door. The main takeaway that I hope you guys get from this is that a fancy lighting setup is not a lot of help if you don't know the principles behind what you're doing. So if you have just one light source, hopefully this video will help you get the most mileage out of what you're using already. Everything that I've done today can be used with an $80 speed light if you want to go that route. That's everything for today. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to help you however I can. I'll see you next time. That was good at the same time.
I know.